You made it. Welcome back, you BEA beautiful soul, SolidSol here, and the big update has come out. It is live, new Orochi skin, and of course I want to talk about Berserker's nerf per se. Okay, now this has I saw a bunch of comments in my last video saying that why they nerf Berserker, why is he getting nerfed? You know, this character needs a few more adjustments, blah blah blah, and all that good stuff. And while I do agree on some areas of his kit, he definitely is lacking, especially his backward zone. This is pretty much useless. You lose out on some trades if the person does decide to go for like an attack. But this is pretty baitable too. You don't want to do a forward dodge bash because he can dodge cancel out of that. But it would be cool if you got some adjustments in the future because this is one of the coolest moves out there. Backward zones are such a ridiculous and fantastic idea, and I hope Ubisoft adds that for Bankai, the new character. But Berserker basically got nerfed, and the biggest thing is this. You see this? Okay, hold on, right here. Boom, it's not enhanced anymore. This is not enhanced. Even in 1v1s, it's not enhanced. Which is kind of ridiculous if you ask me. So if the Warden does like a bash, you won't, and you dodge super duper late, but you're still able to get your dodge attack off, you're not going to be able to punish him. And beforehand, you were able to at least get an enhanced light attack, enhanced light attack and go into your unblockable mix afterwards. And that was pretty big for someone who wasn't going to be an absolute reactard to your mix-ups. And this is going to affect him in 1v1s, and it's going to affect him in 4v4 to a tremendous degree. It's going to make it so that you're not as brain dead, and you can't shut down a person that's not locked onto you. You know, that was one of the strongest things about Berserker beforehand, is that you could just external or target swap dodge and then aim it towards the other person and get into your unblockable mix right afterwards, and they have to respect that essentially. But there's tons of options to deal with a Berserker's unblockable mix anyways. You can just target swap dodge attack away from him and you'd be pretty much safe, but that does force a reaction, allows Berserker to get some chip damage, and allows him to get into his mix, which is also very scary because he does hyper armor, so he's some crazy ganks if you have the team that can set it up for him. But this is a big nerf to him. When you do an external dodge attack towards this guy, this is basically what happens. This is what happens. You can't go into your mix anymore. So pretend I was target swapping to the other guy behind him, and I did a dodge attack like this. That's what would happen, and I'm not even locked onto him. So this is a ginormous nerf to him. However, I will say this doesn't affect players who can position well anyways with Berserker and didn't play him like a no-brain character. So if you were smart with your plays, you didn't have to abuse that tactic. Okay, now you're basically gonna have to use a little bit of your brain, like maybe 2%. I still believe that he's gonna be a really strong character still. I mean, a character with hyper armor period is going to be good, especially with a Berserker who has hyper armor on literally everything, and he still has dodge cancel recoveries on everything. So I don't think you need to be concerned about people complaining about this character, because he's still ridiculously good. Great mix-ups, fast form as chain light attacks, ridiculous in 1v1s, and it can be really, really strong if the person can't react to these. Now, these are reactable, but you have to be on the tip of your toes to block them. To parry them, you have to be a reactionary. I don't know. You don't have to be a god, but you have to make a pretty solid read, in my opinion. You know, I can block these like maybe 90-80% of the time, but when you start mixing them up with heavies, that's when it becomes a little bit scarier, and that's when a Berserker, you'll be able to tell if the Berserker is actually good at the game or not. You know, that's right there. Delayable heavies, delayable light attacks, all of that nonsense. A Berserker, he will mix you up. So I played him for quite a few games, and also after the stream, which thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on the stream today on YouTube and Twitch. Appreciate all my lurkers and all my chatters. You guys are BEA beautiful. But playing this on stream for about 5 hours, I played like maybe 6 or 7 games of him. And then after the stream, I played a couple more games with him just to make sure that in solo queue, duo queue, and 4 stacking, he was still a good character. And lo and behold, he still is a solid character. When you solo queue against matchmaking lobbies, against stacks even, it's pretty freaking good character still. You just need to respect a few things a little bit more, and you can't just willy-nilly target swap dodge attack anymore. Most of the time, people won't be able to punish you when you do a target swap dodge attack anyways, because the person who is farthest away has to get close enough to bash you in your recoveries. If they don't have enough time, or if you already have 2 tags on you or a tag on you, they don't really want to initiate it in the first place. They have to wait for that tag to go away if you have revenge or close to revenge, and there's a lot of variables at play here. The only problem that this has for Berserker is that you're not able to position as well, and then you won't go as far as you want to, because he has one of the best dodge attacks in the entire game and has one of the best repositioning tools with the dodge cancel recoveries after the dodge attack. So you have to be very careful with the Berserker. So even after the dodge attack and it doesn't even hit their guard, you can go into an unblockable or another hyper armor heavy attack. And that's Berserker's greatest strength. This is what is going to keep him strong with a good player. A good player using this is going to still be a nightmare, and you have to be careful against him. You can't just expect the character to be much weaker now. He's still very, very good. If you're not pairing those for him as light attacks, the delayable ones, and the unblockable heavy attack, and respecting his hyper armor, I don't think you're going to have a good time. I've noticed that also the HP difference is not that substantial. I don't think you're going to notice it too much if you're not like super hyper competitive. Obviously, you're going to lose out on some trades, but 5 more HP is going to help you. And I don't think it's that big of a difference, especially when you have so much hyper armor to break people with. You're going to be doing most of the damage anyways. So Berserker has to be a little bit more careful, but he's still a brain rot hero because of all that hyper armor. Now, do we want to get rid of the hyper armor? I know that's a different question. Different answer for a different video. I'm not going to talk about that, but I just want to go over my experiences with Berserker at the moment on the stream and off stream. Still solid. I've been going pretty much positive KD like 90% of the time. He's still a very good character, and the only thing you have to be careful about is Varangian. But of course, Varangian already pretty much stopped your dodge attacks, and you had to respect her, and you couldn't just do that willy-nilly. Orochi didn't get touched. He has getting a skin, guys. Getting a skin, so he's not going to get nerfed, okay? As a business standpoint, that's what I would do to get some money off of the player base, especially bozos who actually just play Orochi. You guys know how brain rot those guys are. But, you know, Orochi and Berserker, they're basically the same thing. It's just that Berserker has hyper armor, Orochi does not. Then Orochi, of course, has a better heavy finisher, side heavy finisher. Not that great of a hitbox in comparison. Berserker is not going to be as good as a team fighter as Orochi now. Orochi's S tier. He's the best character in the game, I believe, next to Shinobi, Fira, and it's a Varangian guard, of course. But those characters are just top tier, and they dominate for specific reasons of shutting down other characters with their defensive options. Now Berserker doesn't really have that good of a defensive option. He doesn't have something that can just shut down people from neutral, whereas characters like Afiro has basically undodgeable, freaking unblockable heavies that goes into your chain pressure. Berserker has to respect other characters now, and you have to decide whether you want to dodge into someone, into your enemy and target swap, or dodge away from them. And I think that's very important. That will differentiate a good Berserker from a bad one. But at the end of the day, I still think Berserker can just do whatever he wants unless you're fighting a very good team that can punish you accordingly with an undodgeable of sorts, or with a GB, but that really depends on how well you position. If you position well enough, they're not going to be able to punish you with the GB, because I've said before, if you do a light attack like this, and you're in this animation, you can be guard broken. But you have to be quick, though. You have to be quick, and most of the time, the opponents are not going to be close enough to punish you. They're not going to be close enough because this dodge attack repositions so far. Look how far I'm going. I am at least 1/4 of a circle. See how far that is? That's 90 degrees. That is 90 degrees plus another dodge cancel. Plus another dodge cancel and more hyper armor to trade with stuff. So if I don't hit the guard, I go into my hyper armor. So that's very powerful. Berserker is definitely not dead. He's going to be a little bit more skill based, but he's still a very good character. Do not underestimate him just because he lost his enhanced light attacks, okay? I will say if you're low HP and you did that target swap dodge attack and you enter that hit stun, and a character, say maybe Warlord or character with the forward dodge bash like Jane June, he actually now has time to kill you if you're low HP enough. And so when you get stuck in that animation, free to get hit by a bash, and that will stop the character from being super duper free in 1v2 situations and team fights. Now they did nerf Fury Flask and Fire Flask. Well, Fury Flask is the same thing, but Fury got nerfed significantly. The feats that I run with Berserker, they're not too heavily reliant on Fury Flask combo. I didn't specifically or really liked that combo in general because I didn't want to save 2 feats for like a team-ending fight. That would have been. It's really powerful. Don't get me wrong, but I'm mostly like a solo queue player anyways, or just like a duo queue player that doesn't really want to stack and hyper focus. Most optimal thing. So Bounty Hunter definitely going to be your best bet. Doom Banner for team fights. You can run Bear Trap if you want, but Throwing Axe is just the way to go in my opinion. For 20 seconds, 300 MS. I think it's the fastest projectile in the entire game. 300 MS, and it deals 25 damage. You get it back in the next fight. Pretty freaking good in my opinion. And then you can run Fire Flask or Fear Itself. Fear Itself also got nerfed too by 10%. It's not that big of a deal, but I think Fire Flask is better so you can clear minion lanes. And Fear itself is, you know, it's going to be a personal pick. But these are my picks that I would run personally. But I don't think he's got affected by it too much. Throwing Axe is just better than Sharpened Blade and Fury, in my opinion. Anyways, when you, especially if you're a solo queue player, or you can't rely on your teammates as consistently. So Berserker, solid character, great feats, good executions, and you know, there's not much else to say about this character. He got nerfed, but it's not to a significant degree, and you don't really have to, you know, you don't have to even see it as a nerf, to be honest. It's more of like a standardization, because he shouldn't have had that in the first place. I just would have liked to see them nerf dodge cancels after a dodge cancel, in my opinion. I think that would have been much better of a nerf for the character, so that he would not just be dancing around us 24/7. Because I think the character dancing around like Pirate or Roshi, those characters flying around, it looks really dumb. It looks really dumb, and I don't like that for the aesthetics of For Honor, in my opinion. You know, balance and run fun before, you know, making a character hyper optimal for competitive games, in my opinion. Zerker definitely was pretty competitive for this patch, but now I think he dropped a tier or so. I think he's going to be super good, but not as abusable as Orochi at this moment, or Afira. But yeah, I think that's those are my thoughts on Berserker. Let me know what you guys' experiences are. I'll be playing him more just to see how things feel. But those are my thoughts on the character at this moment. I don't really think he's changed that much, and it's not really that much of a nerf. It just stops him from Beyblading around. You still have hyper armor, you still have incredible forward tracking on your roll catchers. Ridiculous. The forward heavy is just insane and very good appeal for your forward light as well, that has hyper armor. So overall, you know, this character got standardized, and he's a lot more fair to fight against now. Still strong, don't get me wrong, still strong, but more fair and a little bit more touchable. All right, I can touch him now. I can touch him, Harry Potter. But yeah, so great games. GG's to everyone that I fought today. And more good stuff coming soon. I want to post more Centurion. Centurion also got nerfed as well. I'll make a video on that. And other feats at the same time, like Juggernaut with Lawbringer. So appreciate all the support and all the love. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye-bye. See you later.